All right. So first of all, I wanted to ask, do you all mind to kind of share what the past week has been for you? If you have any particular questions, because I do prepare questions to ask you all from the reading or just in general. But if for some reason you all have something that guides the conversation, then I can always say this for next week. It's not that the end of the world. So I guess, Keisha, how has your week been so far? Or this
It
past?
was it was good. I mean, it was so. Like there was a couple days there that I had some cramping, so I had to kind of adjust around workouts and figure out what I could do that wasn't going to kill me. But I stayed on track with my macros, and we went to a military function on Saturday, and they had three roasted pigs or like smoked pigs, pulled pork, and all of this amazing food. And I was like, okay, trying to I could eat this, and this. And I was proud of myself because I didn't drink any booze. I stayed on track. I was like, oh, okay, I'm finally getting the hang of this.
So are all the functions, or is that just something that happens every now and then, or all of them like that? Like basically you're Baptist and everything comes with food.
Yeah, it's every function always has food.
Oh yes, I mean that's exciting. I mean, at least have something to look forward to. Is it a lot more American cooking or Italian or
Yeah.
American?
Oh, it was this one was luau themed.
Oh, that's fun. So is
Yeah.
it like a potluck or do they provide everything usually?
It was a potluck.
Okay. Those sometimes are the best because people usually only will take their best made meals, or they're the one thing that they're really good at. And then I almost have that feeling, especially at Christmas. I'm like, well, I gotta have a little bit of everything. And I think if you do that uh, once a month, that's fine. But once a week, I'm like, come on, Robin. Who you kidding? You know what I mean? Anyways, that's exciting. Why am I taking my jacket off? I'm cold. So Samantha, how about you?
My week's been pretty rough.
Uh-huh.
Between doctor's appointments and everything, I've been skipping meals like crazy, and it's biting me in the butt.
Yeah.
But I'm working through it and doing good. I mean, trying to stay on track the best I can with everything else that's going on.
Yeah. So have you done any making meals ahead of time or preparing snacks ahead of time? I know.
I do a few meals. Like if I make chicken or something like that, I'll make enough to where, or rice. I make enough to where it could last me a couple different meals throughout the week.
Mhm.
But and then snacks is just kind of hit or miss. Like if I'm going somewhere, yes, I have it planned, but otherwise, no.
Well, what I would recommend is if you are making a snack, kind of like you did with your rice, make a couple
Mhm.
extra. Because I know sometimes it's hard. It's in the beginning to I'm going to set aside an hour, or 30 minutes every few days to do prepping these snacks or whatever. But it really does not just help you keep you on track, but make you feel good about keeping on track. So I think one thing with me in particular that I have learned over the past, well, especially the last 3 years since I've started doing just Beachbody in general, and just a lot of the things that they kind of enforce, or at least my success partner and I worked with, is it's not just the physical transformation, it's that mental transformation as well. And so recognizing those things that I'm more likely to beat myself up over. And allowing those to be non-negotiables, or saying, you know what, does that thing really mean that big of a deal? Like me, I don't know. For me, it's not hard for me to skip a workout. But if I shove my face and eat half a chocolate cake, then I'm going to have guilt, and I'm going to, and before I would sometimes not go and eat for 2-3 days, or eat very little. Or I had this binge cycle where I would binge every night after the kids were in bed. I wouldn't eat it all the next day until they were in bed again, and I was so hungry that I would binge again. And it would happen at least 2 or 3 times a week. And I was almost like punishing myself, for it. And it that actually kind of goes into a little bit of what I was wanting to talk about tonight, if we've got time. So just trying to set aside that time, like, all right, so every, maybe twice a week, you're going to sit down and at least think of a couple snacks that you would like and just kind of put some together, put them in a Ziploc bag, throw them in your fridge, or put them in on your counter or something. That way they are grab and go. And even in those times where you're really hungry and you know that you might be tempted to eat something else, it's like basically sitting there staring at you in your face, and you're just kind of like, I'd rather have that and not that. But I know that's already done. There's no excuse of saying I'd have to prepare something, yada, yada, yada. At least that's how my mind works. I mean, you're going to have tough times, but so far in 2 weeks, you've lost, is it 9 pounds?
Yep.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So how do you feel overall? Not necessarily about the scale.
I feel amazing. I do. I feel like better. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can tell in some of my clothing that I've lost, but it's not inches, a bunch of inches. I've lost a little bit in inches, but it's more of the weight, and I'm okay with that. Well, I mean, I would lose inches, but
and I'm sure it'll be it'll be proportionally. For me, at least, my biggest struggle area is my stomach, and for most women, in this group, it will be their stomach. And I found that even after I lost 65, 70 pounds, my problem area was, guess what? My stomach. And I can show you pictures, even being 40 pounds less than what I am now. 40 pounds, I'm telling anybody. My stomach is still bigger than anything else on my body. And I remember just having like that. And that's one of the reasons why pictures are good, because I still felt like I maybe lost, and basically I was a big apple with like toothpicks sticking out of it, But the thing is, my stomach did lose several inches. Now, did it lose slower than everything else? Yes. But progress is progress, no matter how slow. So that's really exciting that you have. And I think even more so just focusing on it. For me, like I'll tell people, I feel like I've moved mountains when I do a workout, because I still sometimes, especially some days more than others, it's hard for me just to do a workout, because if I am not, what's your deal? Sorry. Let me let these dogs out. They're going to want right back in just a minute. So it's just, but I do have those moments in my journey where I do feel really proud, and I feel really strong for being able to be stronger. Like in the program I'm doing now, I used to not really be able to do any push-ups, not on my knees, like modified. And when I was able to do 5, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Who would have ever thunk? Because I always did it modified, even in the workouts. And even then, sometimes I'd watch them the last 10, 15 seconds and be like, are y'all done yet? And then it was like, all right, well, let me try to do it unmodified and just see if I can do 2, see if I can do 3. And, and now I'm able to do 10. And if I got down, I probably might be able to do 13, 14. I don't know, maybe 15, until like the veins start popping out. But just basically finding joy and strength in challenging myself, and not just getting that value from a number on the scale, but feeling like I'm making progress by being able to do more in the workouts. Because I know a lot of times people are like, oh, it's getting easier. I'm like, no, you're just getting better. It doesn't get easier. The workouts aren't getting any easier. They're not changing. You're the one that's changing. And so we have to give credit where credit's due, right? So anyway, I can ramble all day. But Debbie, do you want to talk about your week or just keep
yeah, just keep going.
Okay, that's fine. I just didn't know what you were doing. So let me go into, my dogs are going to start barking here in a second, but I'm going to start here so they're easily accessible. So it kind of goes into a little bit of what I want to talk about tonight. But something very quickly is in chapter 1, the author talks about, are you worth it? And I think, I'll read the quote and then we can talk about that very quickly. And it says, are you worth it? What do I mean by that exactly? Allow me to let you in one of the biggest secrets that nobody in the diet industry tells you. Unless you truly believe that you deserve an amazing life, you will never, ever be successful at eating well and being healthy and ultimately losing weight. Unless you create a beautiful world filled with all the things that you love, you will never make positive changes in your life that lead you to love yourself and your body. And then she goes on to say, unless you truly believe that you deserve an amazing life, you will never, ever be successful at eating well and being healthy and ultimately losing weight. And, it's one of those things. It's like, well, do I feel like I'm worth it? And I think for a lot of times I personally can feel like, oh, well, yeah, like I'm worth it. Like, who isn't worth it? Because I feel like that's the cookie cutter answer. But when I look back on those cycles or the way that I talk to myself or even the way I was treating myself, like I was saying, I was punishing myself for overeating. And in reality, I should have begun loving and nurturing myself. Like, all right, how can I take care of you better? Not just my physical body, but my mind. But instead, I went into punishment mode. You must not eat, yada, yada, yada. And really, I didn't think I was worth living a wonderful life. Because if I did, I wouldn't have continued punishing myself for so many years. Does that make sense? And so I think a lot of times we will try to lie to ourselves or convince ourselves that we do believe a certain way, but our actions speak louder than words. And so I guess, just posing that question to you all, do you feel like you're worth it? Yes, no, you're not really for sure. You're working on it, or, what has been basically your, in my past, and I still have those moments of where I struggle with it. Don't get me wrong. But what have you felt like, oh, if there's overwhelmingly yes, I do feel like I'm worth it because the last 10 years I do this instead of this, of a habit that you've changed. You can feel free to share. You don't have to. But I think it's on the dogs. Would anyone like to share what their thoughts are on that? Yes, no, maybe so. If not, that's totally fine. But what I would want you to think about is, what do you believe? Do you truly believe that you're worth it? And sit down and think of ways that are reasons why you feel like you're worth it, or reasons why you don't feel like you're worth it. And if you have a list of the reasons why you're not worth it, I want you to message me, and we can chat personally, and we can go over. And basically, I'm going to call you out on the reasons why I think it's BS and it's bullcrap, because those are lies that you're telling yourself. And we have so many naysayers in this world, so many things in social media or on TV, Hollywood, whatever you want to call it, fashion magazines that are telling us what is beautiful or what's worth it or what we should be. And in reality, you should be you. And you shouldn't punish yourself for being anything less than that. Going on. The fastest way to be miserable is to compare yourself, especially your body, to anybody else's. And I like that. So in chapter 2, she went on to, there were 2 quotes that kind of stood out to me the most. And the first one is, I finally came to realize that eating good food made me feel good. And that became the measure of my success. not a number on the scale, not the size of my jeans. And once my emotions became my weight loss barometer, I was suddenly free from a vicious cycle of dieting that plagued most of my life. And I would still say, for me personally, I mean, that's like a pretty like deep down, I mean, it's pretty deep for someone to truly believe that they're basically emotional, that their emotions became their weight loss barometer. Let me go ahead and read the next quote I was going to share, and then I'll kind of share what I was thinking. Until we get to the bottom of our emotional well-being, we will never be able to develop a positive relationship with our bodies. And if we never develop that relationship, we'll never be able to treat it the way that we should. And it's really true, because I think until we truly understand what our relationship is, and I've said it 1,000 times and I'll say it again, I believe that for people in general, I think the journey to being healthier and stronger is much more emotional than it is physical. And I think even more so, exponentially more so with women with PCOS. And I think it's so hard to get over those barriers that a lot of times that we've created for ourselves, to either loving ourselves because we think that we're not worth it. And in order for you to develop that positive relationship, we need to get you to truly feel and believe that you are worth it. Even if you don't 100% feel it, we want you to begin believing it. And even if you don't believe it, that's where last week I was talking about like those positive affirmations, like repeating those same things over yourself, like over and over, to where you almost think that you're going crazy. Well, guess what? One day you might actually start believing it. So even if like in the mornings, like if you're just like, I don't believe I'm worth it, I believe I am trash, I am yada, 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 I'm never going to be successful. Even if you simply wake up and just say, I am worthy, and I tell people you are worthy of having whatever goals and dreams that you have right now where you are, the same amount as if you were in your dream goal body. You don't gain worth as you get closer to your goals or farther away from your goals. Like you don't gain and lose worth. And you need to realize that. So it really is, because this kind of takes it back from not a number, on a scale or your genes. It takes it back to the decisions and the choices that you're making every day to make those the healthy lifestyle change. So feeling proud of yourself and feeling like, I'm not saying you shouldn't reward yourself after if you've hit a certain goal weight or whatever, or every 5 pounds. What I'm saying is more like, be proud of choosing to eat healthy. Be proud of, of working out. Those things that the scale does not determine. The things that basically you're making a choice to do every day. Because ultimately, for the scale to move, or for you to lose weight, or for you to be successful, it all comes down to choice and not chances. And even with the lottery, if you want to go play the lottery, your chances are pretty slim to none. But what I have learned is what matters the most is what you do a little bit every day over a long period of time versus what you do really big every once in a while. And there have been times where in my mind, or not just in my mind, in real life, like, I'd be doing this crazy diet or whatever, and then I would fall off track. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, but like the date of when I wanted to be able to hit my goals, like if I've got like a reunion or a party coming up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have like 2 weeks away or a week away. So then I would do a crash diet and basically eat very little, take pills or whatever. Because I'm like, oh, I can do basically what should be done in 3 months and 2 weeks, because I think that's possible and healthy. No. So really, and last week I told you all to focus on basically non-scale goals that you can work on with sleep, water, food, and those should be the measurement of your success. Not necessarily the scale, not necessarily the size of your jeans, but those things, the choices that you're making every day should be the measurement of your success. Whether or not Like basically, even if you give yourself gold stars every day, like check, checking off those little things for you, and if you need to, stay off the scale, and I know it's exciting to see the numbers go down, but there will be times when you are doing everything, check, and you get on the scale is not always cooperating, because as women with PCOS, it just doesn't always like us. And then you're like, this is all for nothing. I just did all my check marks for the week. I did really, really good, and the scale hates me, so it's all for nothing. This sucks. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. In reality, the scale does not erase all these wonderful things you've been doing every day, because those are going to create the longevity of life, not necessarily a number on the scale. These healthy habits that you're creating, it's creating a lifestyle. It's creating longevity. It's not, and I tell people all the time, because they're like, well, how much weight should I expect to lose if I join the academy and do Beachbody? I'm like, I'm not going to answer that question, because I'm not going to promise you anything. What I will promise you is a support system of where we're creating a lifestyle, because a healthy lifestyle should never have basically an end date. It shouldn't. This isn't like, oh, at the end of the 4 weeks, like you should be looking phenomenal in a size 2 dress and feel like you've hit every dream and goal in your life. No, this is to help you begin creating that lifestyle that will lead you to whatever goals that you are hoping to achieve. And I hope that in your goals are feeling strong, sexy, feeling confident, that those are a huge part as well, because it shouldn't be solely the scale. So anyways, now that I kind of rambled a lot longer than what I thought. So where do you feel like your success comes from? Do you feel like your success is solely by non-scale things and basically the choices that you're making every day? And if not, I want to challenge you to those being at least a part of your success at this point in your journey, and not solely the scale. I understand, even for me, the scale is a sign of success. And there are times I just kind of have to be like, all right, I will not step on the scale. I will not step on the scale. I will not step on the scale. Especially like if I'm being hormonal, or I'm just really stressed, I've not been sleeping well. If there are things I know that are not going to be a good recipe for me to like what I'm going to see on the scale, my butt's not going to step on the scale, because then I'm just going to beat myself up. I'm going to feel guilty. Guilty for what? It's not like I've gone and eaten a cake, like a whole cake. It's just life. It happens. And so we're going to gain weight by water retention. We're going to lose it. And anyway, so what are your all thoughts on this? Like, do you feel like your success in this journey, how is it defined? Do you get excited when you lose, a size in your pants, but then if the scale doesn't move, you're just kind of like, well, but the scale didn't move. And it takes away the value of your pants moving, or like you haven't lost weight in a program, but you can now do 10 push-ups that you couldn't do it before to save your life. So it's like, but I haven't lost any weight, so it's not working. So it's like, where do you lay that value? Do you feel like?
It's definitely the strength that I'm gaining in my workouts. I feel like even like doing yoga, I can hold a pose a little longer.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me feel like, hey, I'm succeeding at this. It keeps me going.
Yeah. And there's sometimes I'm like, yeah, girl. Like when I'm like doing, I'm like, look at me. I want to tell the world. And when I could do 5 like push-ups, nothing, no crazy push-ups, just like a regular basic push-up. I mean, I post it on social media. And for those, and you know what? It wasn't salesy. It was just sharing. And people are like, well, how'd you do that? And I'm like, doing it every day, like doing a little bit every day. It's not like I sat there and was like, I'm gonna do these until I die. Like, no, like it's a slow progression over time. And just posting simple things like that, I'm naturally sharing my journey and I'm inspiring other people to do the same. because they're going to see that and be inspired. I don't have to say, hey, come join me, jump on the wagon and be a push-up queen. I don't want to be a push-up queen. My arms are naturally, they're just one of my weakest areas. And so I was just really proud of it. And so I know that you've considered coaching. And so just kind of giving that as example, like those are things that you share. You share your I focus a lot on the non-skill victories just because the skill is not always quick to move. And so it's just, and I find that I am slowly finding strength, especially with this program I'm doing right now, finding, value more in getting stronger and being able to do more. And even the simple fact of pushing myself a little bit longer in the workout than I normally would. Like I was saying earlier, how it would, like the last 10, 15 seconds, I'd be looking over like, oh, they're still going. I would do that all the time. And there's still times I do that and I'm like, no, Robin, just push, push, push. Because the real work happens when it gets hard. So anyway, sorry. But I'm glad that strength is a big one. And I know that the skill is a motivator. I mean, it's just, it is. And, but I'm not saying it shouldn't be your soul. What I'm saying is it shouldn't be your sole one. So I love that just you being able to improve on your flexibility and holding the poses and stuff, because yoga is no joke. I ain't no pretzel. So if I can do half of those, I feel pretty darn proud of myself. I mean, for instance, okay, I know I'm doing a lot of rambling, and I was like, I'm so tired. And then I get on here, and I'm like, okay, so we went to this museum yesterday in Louisville, and it was like a science museum center. And there was this little thing, and it was just like, there was these different levels, and this one was like, how flexible are you? Now, this mama didn't do a whole lot of stuff there because, I mean, it was like for kids and like crawling and stuff. I was like, oh, I can sit on that and I can like push, let's see if I could show you how. Anyway, so you had to like, oh, hold on. We have 2 minutes left. So like basically you lay your legs straight and then you had this thing where you put your hands over top your legs and you had to like push like this. And there was this little thing that would move based on like how far you pushed it, and you basically moved forward 3 times. And I was like, I got this. Like, I'm pretty flexible. But then I was like, y'all need to watch out. I was like, mama's belly might get in the way. So I might have to sling it out of the way to, and I went back and knocked out, because I have to joke about it. But I'm serious. Like, for me to even like be considered average on the flexibility thing, I was proud of myself because the belly does get in the way. Like, it does. But I was so proud that like I wasn't like below average. And I don't know why I told that story. I know we were talking about flexibility, but I was just like, now I feel like an idiot. But
oh no, I get it, because there's certain poses like where I have to go straight forward with my legs straight, and I can't do it because my boobs are in my face, and I feel like I'm going to smother myself to death with them. And I'm like, this is not working.
Just get some duct tape. I don't have the problem up here. Mine is just the belly. But and having like, high-waisted pants and stuff helps too. But yeah, there are just some things like I just can't do because my belly is still too big. But it doesn't mean that I don't try or I don't modify and follow the modifier. And there are many times I will modify what the modifier is doing. I'm like, well, I don't want to stand here, or I do want to stand here, but I know I probably shouldn't. So let me see if I can do something that halfway looks like what we're doing. And that's just kind of my process. Like, okay, at least I'm moving because that's better than what I would have done before. I don't know. What about you, Samantha? Not necessarily about the belly, but like the finding what we were talking about, measure of your success and stuff.
I've noticed that, like you said, you're watching them, like their last 15 seconds or whatever, hoping it's over. I've noticed that I've pushed myself further in doing it too, longer. And like I was doing one of them the other day, and she's like, if you can't do the 12 reps, just do the 10. Well, I actually did more than 12 reps of those.
Mm-hmm. Girl, you know,
So
you in a class of your own because you don't see me doing more unless it was an accident. Shoot. Mm. Mm. You're crazy. No, but that's awesome. Like, you know, and it's one of those things, for instance, doing not necessarily doing more than what they were doing. So they're in the one of the workouts that I'm doing, they're basically okay, they do like they'll do one move and go into the next and then go into the next and then go into the next. And I'm just like almost like basically how yoga flows, but it's not yoga. And they do like these what's it called? Spider walks or something. Anyway, when we first started, they basically did reps of 4 of them before they'd go into the next move. So you had a certain amount of time to do 4. I could only do 2. And then it was like grunting and moaning and like squelching and like, and then it got to the point where I could do 3. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what? Did they slow down? You know, and it's like, and then, you know, I could do 4, you know, but it was like, okay, like I got to take a deep breath because, you know, I do have to modify. It's harder because of the stomach. It's harder because of this. But now I don't think I could ever do 5 because they only sticking to 4. This girl's only going to do 4. But yeah, just seeing that progression instead of beating myself up and saying like, man, I can only do 2, like in the time they give me. And, you know, and it's okay. Just keep going, do what you can. And the goal is not a sprint. It's a marathon. So, you know, especially some of these workouts that are 30 minutes or longer, I just want to be able to make it to the end to where I'm not like puking, you know, so. And sometimes I know that could be to my detriment because in my head, I'm like, I want to be able to last. But then I'm like, I probably should have pushed myself harder because I could probably be stronger today than I was because I didn't allow myself to get to that point where like it burned so bad that I wanted to quit. Because when I did, that's when I got up and I glanced at the screen and watched for 15 seconds. Or when they were doing a certain rep, I just sat there and watched the whole time. And like, oh, instead of my break being 10 seconds, it's going to be like a minute and 10 seconds because I'm just going to sit here and do a water break during this. Yeah, that's been me before. And, you know, and I have times like that where I'm just like, you know, but I have to remind myself a lot of the days it's a mental battle for me to do a workout. They're just hard. It's hard for me. And I'm not saying it's harder for anybody else, but if I don't get up before my kids do, it's just, it's hard to get done. It's either going to be before they get up at 7:30. So I'm going to have to get up even earlier. And I vowed myself I would stop saying I'm not a morning person. Because if I'm going to be a morning person, I'll have to just say I'm a morning person. I'm a morning person. And then I'll magically be a morning person, right? Or it'll be after they go to bed. When there have been times I do it in the middle of the day, but it's like gets broken up, which is I have mixed feelings about because I like all the little breaks, but then I get frustrated because if it isn't, I'm really wanting to get done and knock out, then I'm just like, oh, leave me alone for the love of Jesus, you know. But anyway, so I would like for you all to focus on basically finding your measure of success in growing your strength. And that doesn't necessarily be like weightlifting. That's basically pushing yourself farther than what you would have yesterday or last week or last month. You know, finding joy and strength and challenging yourself. You know, and if you're not doing those little affirmations like, you know, I am beautiful, I am worthy, you know, I find joy and strength in challenging myself. That's like one of mine. Then start doing it because it really will. You might actually get to the point where you start believing that nonsense. You know, how amazing is that? What do you got to lose? And you don't have to tell people you're repeating this to yourself and, you know, put it on your mirror, you know, when you brush your teeth or put it in reminders, you know, on your phone. So it's like popping up, you know, in alarms and it's just nice. And then also thinking about your measure of success being the choices that you are making, not something that you don't have control over. And I always say control the controllable. You control what goes in your mouth. You control how much activity you get. You control how much sleep you get. For the most part, you control all these things. You don't control a scale. You don't control the weather. You don't control the sizing, manufacturing of all these jeans and the clothes. But you basically make your measure of success the things that you can control, the choices that you make, and solely up to what you do. Not anything, all these outside circumstances. Does that make sense? That way, even if the scale doesn't basically tell the world, tell you how successful, quote unquote, you are, how successful you are because of the little gold stars that you're going to start giving yourself. And I've even had people in the past will create like a chart or even like something on their phone, and they'll make like 7 days of the week. And then like their 2, 3 goals, 4 goals, 5 goals, whatever it is. And they'll give them like they'll do like cute, like little emojis in them, or like check marks, or, what else have they done? Like, or just cute, like little stickers. And that way, and they'll post in the group, like, look, here's my chart for this week. Like, pat me on the back. Because if you post those things, we're going to congratulate you. We're going to, and even if you post it on your personal wall, people are going to, they're going to, because it's proud, because, if it was easy to do, like if you go the extra mile, it's never going to be crowded, because not many people are going to be willing to do it, because it takes work, but hard work works, if I've learned anything. So we have less than a minute left, so I'm going to go ahead and hop off here. So I will be posting this tomorrow. And if you all need anything, just let me know. And we can set up individual calls if we need to throughout the week, or if you need any input or whatever, I'll be available this week to chat with you all. So thank you all for hopping on tonight and this morning. I appreciate it.
Well, you have a good night.
All right. Well, you all have a good